Have you ever thought about going to Africa? I haven't, but I'm apocalyptically lazy, so that doesn't really mean much. If you do, then fucking hell do I have a game for you. Pack your malaria tablets and your AKs, because Far Cry 2 is about to convince you why this is all a very, very bad idea. Far Cry 2 is an open-world, first-person shooter developed by Ubisoft Montreal and published by Ubisoft. It was released to the PC, 360 and PS3 back in 2008, and is, quite obviously, the second game in the Far Cry series. You play as a mercenary of your choice, Frank the Irishman in my case, sent to a recently failed fictitious African state to kill the Jackal, an infamously sadistic arms dealer fueling the state's current bloody civil war by selling guns to both sides. You start in the back of a taxi, being driven to the town of Parla by the one friendly driver you'll ever find in this dusty shithole. It gives you a good chance to stare out at the wonderfully detailed African vistas while the bullets aren't flying. Towards you, anyway. That's not sarcasm. The graphics in this game hold up pretty damn well for a almost 10-year-old game. Maybe not as well as Crysis, but real life sometimes doesn't live up to Crysis, so let's cut it some slack. The amount of detail splashed around this world really adds to the immersion in ways that even its modern successors don't manage most of the time. Whether it's looking out at the African sunset or speeding across the desert in a car, it still feels satisfying when you get a moment to breathe, away from all the shooting. My favourite moments during this game were during intense gunfights, running through the more jungle-based areas with bullets whizzing over your head like it's fucking Vietnam, trying desperately to unjam your shitty rust-caked rifle before they all catch up. It's an intensity I haven't felt for a long time in a game. Granted, this feeling doesn't carry over to every gunfight, but we'll talk about those shortcomings later. For a slightly more calming adventure, you can sail down the rivers on boats thrown around the map. It gives you a chance to relax, while you're not being shot at. That won't last long. Thankfully, the gunplay in this game is pretty good. Most of the weapons feel weighty and sound good in between them falling apart and blowing up. All the guns in this game are old as shit and caked in rust, so I hope you've had your tetanus shots, or the bullets might be slightly less of a problem. There's a whole video on YouTube dedicated to the different ways your guns can jam and break. It's oddly interesting to watch, just to see all the little details you'd probably never see unless you used every single weapon in the game to the point of breaking. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen anything of this caliber in more modern games. The nearest I can think of is Fallout New Vegas, and even then the guns just jam with a quick added animation, and that's it. Nothing major. When they jam in Far Cry 2, it can cause some serious issues. The last thing you want in a pitched gunfight is your gun to just stop working, or worse, blow apart in your hands. The cars don't fare much better either, as it seems a mild wind could break the engine on these shitboxes. Unless the AI is driving it, then they seem to be able to take a nuclear bomb before conking out. But we haven't got there yet, have we? We're still in this taxi, enjoying the view. Unfortunately, you don't get to enjoy the view for too long before you're harassed by some ne'er-do-wells at a checkpoint. Like almost all problems, it's solved by the promise of alcohol. What can't be solved by alcohol, however, is your complete lack of any immune system, as apparently you forgot to take your shots before you came here. So 2 seconds in the country, you've already gotten malaria, somehow. God knows how. My guess, you had your mouth open the whole ride like a dog and accidentally swallowed a mosquito. Either way, you'd pass out outside the hotel and awake to the Jackal sitting in your room like the most uncomfortable hospital visit in history. He reads you some Nietzsche, I can't pronounce that, before leaving some tools for you and sending you back to sleep. Unfortunately, there's no sweet dreams for you as the town outside erupts into an all-out war before you even have a chance to brush your teeth and get your pants on. You stagger outside armed with a rusty pistol and an old machete to try and fight your way out. You fail, either via gunshots or plague, and are rescued again, this time by one of the warring factions, and are put to bitch work to prove you won't just drop dead 2 seconds out the door.
My name is Carbon.
So armed with your trusty machete, you wander out into the wild world of Africa to fix a car. I guess it's a good thing they start this shit early, as you're going to be screwing in that one single bolt on every car you drive from here to... Oh, for fuck's sake. Anyway, after nabbing the car and taking out your first checkpoint, you're given a safe house after taking out its original residence, so you can rest and not die of bug plague for at least another few hours. There's not much of note to talk about when it comes to the safe house system. You sleep and save your game there, that's about it. You can upgrade them by doing little side objectives your main buddy sets during main missions, giving you health and ammo refill stations in your house, so I do those if you actually want to be useful. After your night's rest, you continue on to Mike's Bar, an oddly named place seeing as there's never a barman nor anyone called Mike. Here you meet your first buddy, and Ruben, a journalist writing a book about the conflict and the Jackal's part to play in it. He wants you to find his missing Jackal interview tapes scattered around the region so he can get the scoop. I only got 7 of them, so I guess I suck at this whole helping thing. Hey, don't blame me. I get paid to find the diamonds scattered around. I just get to listen to more of the Jackal's edgelord manifesto when I find a tape. Speaking of diamonds, that's the main mode of currency in this lawless dust bowl. I didn't exactly find them hard to come by, as you can just run the antenna assassination missions to get some quick dosh, and every main mission gives you at least 30 before you even get out of earshot of the mission giver. I mean, it's not like they have to worry, you aren't leaving. The last planes in the region have either been blown up or flown off, and you aren't getting over the border without one hell of a fight, so yeah, good luck with that. I guess it's a good thing then that you're a gun for hire, because there's a lot of work open for you. See, the two factions, the APR and the UFLL, need someone to throw at the other side with some plausible deniability, and you're the man for that job, in between taking naps and dying. That really sums up the story. You bounce from faction to faction, running from A to B, kill, blow up, steal C, and run back to A. Nothing new or interesting really happens outside of these missions, except for the one time I found a hand glider. Hell, even getting more purchasable guns requires the runaround. Just becomes a bit tedious, and I hope you like travelling this game world because you're going to do it. A lot. The only fast travel you get are buses, so in between objectives it starts to feel more like a commute than a tense adventure through the African jungles or deserts. In between main missions you do missions for the underground by swapping passport papers for pills you need, which is the nearest you get to doing a good deed throughout this whole dirty fucking escapade. Except you're only doing it for the meds, so does it really count? Fucked if I know, I'm not here to make moral decisions. I'm here to help these totally trustworthy people sort out their problems. About halfway through, you're sent to take out the captain of the opposing faction. In my case, UFLL's captain sent me to kill the APR's captain. So you do the job, like a good boy.
Hey, fuck you, motherfucker.
When suddenly the faction you're working for starts shooting you, which is apparently supposed to be surprising, yet we've already established these people are dodgier than a Dodge Ram in Dodge City in the Dodge dimension. So this is about as predictable as it gets. You make a final stand, either with your buddies at the bar or at the church helping innocent people escape. Either way, your buddies will die and you're left for dead in the desert, where, once again, the Jackal saves you. Before you can ask if he loves you or not, a faction lieutenant shows up, in my case APR Lieutenant Greaves, who offers you a chance at redemption by sending you off to kill the faction captain that set you up. I did this with gusto, and was soon back in the APR's good books and working directly with their leader, Oliver. You immediately go back to destabilising the region for both factions, keeping both of them and your new, not quite as dead as the last lot mercenary buddies in business before you once again get fucked. This time by the Jackal, who by this point I was beginning to forget he was even in this game. See, you're sent to pick up diamonds from the opposing faction for either an exchange to seal a peace deal between both of them, or to pay your way out of the country with your buddies in a cargo plane. Dogman takes them instead and tells you the obvious, that the peace deal is only there so the factions can continue to murder and pillage in peace without anyone interfering. Your character, being the silent, stupid type, has nothing to say about this, so you get knocked the fuck out and thrown in prison to relax for a few minutes. You escape, with all the stealth and finesse of a bull in the china shop, but things aren't exactly going well on the outside either. With the leader of one of the major factions dead, the whole region is thrown into anarchy. Supposedly. Every arsehole I pass takes a shot at me anyway, so this is just a regular Sunday afternoon at this point. Oh yeah, everyone wants you dead in this game, no matter what reputation level you're at. If they can see you, it's on. I've had quite a few situations where a guy pulls up to kill my character, only to get run over by someone else trying to kill me. If you've, for some reason, ever wanted to play a game where an entire country wants to kill you, then this is really the game for you. The only peace you get is in the two main towns due to an ongoing ceasefire, but you could cut the tension here with a knife. They will kill you if you give them a reason, and unless the assassination missions give you a target in those towns, and it will, you don't have a good reason. So fucking don't. I actually like this tense piece. It fits the game's atmosphere extremely well and is something I haven't felt in almost any other game. You have no friends here. Just colleagues. Colleagues with guns. With a major faction leader dead and the region well and truly fucked beyond belief, you might as well take out the rest, right? Well, that's what the remaining faction leaders think, and you seem pretty good at killing off the higher-ups, so it's back to bouncing back and forth between the factions, taking out what's left of their leadership because you're in too deep at this point to stop now. Things aren't going well for Ruben either, as the country wants the journalists to get the fuck out, either the country or life itself. So you pay a visit to the airfield to rescue him and his fellow non-Spider-Man journalists before the militia can shoot holes in their story. As a thank you, parting gift, he tells you where the Jackal can be found, back at the old prison. It's time for the end game. This is about where I had to start quick saving. A lot. The enemies seem to start hitting harder here, and if they were out for blood beforehand, this is them actually trying. Checkpoints are already deadly with their constantly respawning enemies and risk of getting one hit killed by an angry motorist. I just started trying to plough through the checkpoints instead of stopping and fighting. But that could also be because I was sick of the constant respawning and beyond bored with driving everywhere at this point. Thankfully, your buddies have one good skill. One of them can save you from death and drag you to safety. As you can imagine, this becomes pretty damn useful at this point. They even help you fight off the remaining enemies as long as they don't get shot, then you're saving them. It's pretty useful and gave me a reason to at least do a few of the missions at the bar, then I got bored of them and stopped. You just need to talk to your rescue buddy in any safe house to get them to rescue you. Unless they drop dead, then you're gonna need a new one. Anyway, after finding your way back to the prison, you meet with the Jackal, and instead of a one-on-one machete off under the African stars, he tells you how he plans to save the citizens and get them over the border to relative safety. First, take out the 2 remaining faction leaders, and 2, grab a case full of diamonds so you can bribe the border guards. The first part of this plan goes off without a hitch, other than the whole being shot at thing, but it'll be fine. The second part? Not so much. Waiting at the diamond drop-off are your not-so-dead buddies. Sweet, maybe they're here to help you. Oh no, wait, they're shooting at me. They want out of the country, and the only person in the way of that objective is you. Like most situations in this game, you solve it through bullets and explosions. Except Andre. He died of a med overdose after royally fucking up a rescue attempt. Finally actually dropping your turncoat buddies. Don't worry, they never did anything useful anyway. With a case full of diamonds in one hand and bullet holes everywhere, you meet the Jackal one last time in a small hut in the heart of darkness. What a fucking edgelord. He gives you a choice. Someone needs to cover the civilians' escape over the border by blowing the valley with explosives, thus blocking the militia from chasing them, and another needs to bribe the border guards to let them pass. Option 1 requires explosives to be detonated manually, as the detonator cord has malfunctioned, which you can guess has some obvious consequences for the person involved. Option 2 requires someone to head to the border and hand off the diamonds, and then kill themselves to avoid capture. This is the closest you're gonna get to actually doing a good deed in this game. Through this whole game, you've never been a good guy, helping to stabilise the country even further and leaving innocents to die in the crossfire of disease and hunger because the factions want to keep all this shit to themselves. You helped do all this just because you wanted to kill the Jackal, even after realising he was only one part of the problem. You are only a mercenary after all. You work for pay, no matter the job, leave your morals at the door. I've seen some other people complain about the endings, but I feel like they actually fit really well. It's some kind of a redemption for you in the Jackal, even if only a small one. You both spend the whole game doing some unforgivable shit. Hell, at one point you blow up kilns helping produce malaria medicine just because the faction that paid you isn't the one making it, thus they aren't making the money. You help spiral this small African region further and further down into the shit, all in your pursuit of the Jackal. So in the end, you don't really deserve a happy ending. So, would I recommend playing Far Cry 2? Yeah, I would actually. While the story isn't anything to write home about, and constantly respawning enemies really gets annoying, it's a very immersive game, with graphics that have aged like fine wine, and some damn good sound design to match. If you can put up with the difficulty this game can throw at you, it's a hell of a time sink, and offers some of the most intense moments I've had in any action game. I'd say, yeah, give it a look.